Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we are going to work together to answer the question, what strategies can we use when adding and subtracting fractions? This is certainly a lesson that many of you have been asking for in math, and without further ado, here we go. So just to illustrate 1/3 plus 1/3 and using one whole or using the same whole in each problem, I'm going to use Virtual Manipulatives, which is a free app that you can get from the App Store. And it's a great way to model and to visualize what, what addition and subtraction of fractions is all about. So I'm going to pull up the fraction tab here, and I'm going to be dragging out a one whole. Now within this one whole, I'm going to kind of visualize that this one whole is going to be divided into three equal parts, and I know that because my denominators are both 3. Okay, so I'm adding 1/3 plus 1/3 using the same whole. So I'll drag out a 1/3 and I'll drag out another 1/3. Okay, and that shows me that I now have 2/3. Now what I'll do is I will star the 1/3 and the 1/3 that I used to illustrate the 2/3 now combined, now put together. And you'll notice, folks, that the denominators are the same, but what I did add was the both numerators, the 1 and the 1, and I got 2. But I did not touch the denominators. Those stayed thirds because the whole hasn't changed. The whole is still divided into 3 equal parts, and I added 2/3 of those parts. Okay, or I'm showing 2/3 of those parts by adding 1/3 plus 1/3. All right, so now back to the model problem, and you can take out your organizer and you can begin working along with me. Just keep in mind that if you need to just kind of stop for a moment and think about what I've done during this lesson, just please hit the pause button and make sure that you think real carefully about the steps that I'm taking. So I might, just like before, when I gave you 1/3 plus 1/3, now I might change it. I might say, all right, well, let's say I'm going to take 2/3, okay, take 2/3, and I'm going to add 1/3. Okay, and what's my answer? Well, the why behind it, folks, is that I have one whole right here that I'm dealing with right now. Okay, and in that one whole, I know that it's divided into 3 equal parts. Okay, and the reason I know that is that my denominator is 3 in both problems. So I know that I have taken one. I start with 2/3. Right here I have 2/3. Okay, that I've colored in, and I'll kind of illustrate it down here with this label, and I need to add another third to it. So I need to add 1/3. So I might go ahead and say, all right, well, now I know that that's 2/3. I'm going to add a third to it. Maybe I'll just give it a little bit of a different design. Okay, and I know that in combining 2/3 and 1/3, I now have 3/3. But we all know that 3/3 is actually equal to one whole. And you'll see using the tape diagram below that I have filled in, or I've shaded in and labeled that entire one whole. Now the next half of our model problem, pardon the fraction pun, is how can we subtract fractions? And so right here I have 3/4 minus 2/4. Okay, and the thing with 3/4 minus 2/4 is now you're still dealing with the same one whole that you can see in the tape diagram that I've drawn below. And the larger portion of that whole I've illustrated as 3/4. But this time what we have to do is we have to subtract 2/4 of that. Okay? And when I do that, I'm actually, let's see, I can just kind of label a different way. And I can say, well, I know over here I need to take away or subtract 2/4. Okay? So I know that right here and right here no longer exist in this problem. because out of that 3/4, okay, what do I have remaining and what do I have left over? And the difference is going to be right here. And that difference is actually going to be 1/4. Okay. And you can also illustrate it by, doing another bracket right here and saying, well, that's 1/4, and that's going to be my answer. So if you've seen, I've divided my whole into 4 equal parts. I began with 3/4. I needed to subtract 2/4, and my answer is 1/4. So just remember from the very beginning discussion that I subtracted 3 minus 2, and I had 1. Okay, but for my denominators, I did not subtract these at all. Okay, I left them as fourths because the number of parts that the whole is divided into will not change. It's just which fraction you have left over after subtracting. So for practice problems 1, 2, and 3, I've given you a fraction that I'd like you to solve, but I'd also like you to illustrate your math thinking using the tape diagram that you'll see below each problem. So make sure you fill out the tape diagram for each problem. And you can use the tape diagram the same way that I used it in the model problems. Okay. So for practice problem 1, I'd like you to solve 5/6 plus 1/6. For practice problem 2, I would like you to solve 6/8 minus 3/8. And for practice problem 3, I would like you to solve 3/10 plus 5/10. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the video. And once again, just to review, we answered the question together: what strategies can we use for adding and subtracting fractions?